Hey, love to play tackle. I couldn't help myself. Hey there, this is Bill Mitch. I'm president of WDMA Financial Group, and for the next hour, you are at your insurance corner. I will take you with Sean through an excursion of exciting information about Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplements tonight. We actually did a comparison of plans, and I promise you to make you laugh, and maybe by opening up the line with a little bit of Fat Albert, given the fact that it's football season, maybe you laughed a little bit. So anyway, without further ado, the man, the legend, the way of life, the person who seems to be on vacation and on assignment for the last month and a half. Sean Hauser.
Well, Bill, I'm trying to renegotiate my contract here.
Yeah, me too.
We don't have to, air our dirty laundry in front of No, life calls.
Yep. No, I'm teasing you, man.
Gotta travel.
You take the time out of your busy schedule and take it away from your beautiful bride for an hour to spend time with me, to listen to my bloviations, and then to provide absolute genius, because as I like to say, I'm the mouthpiece, you're the brains. So I can
compensate people. We're going to compensate the audience now, Bill. So everywhere we're going there.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Survived the effects from hurricane.
Oh yeah. Did you guys get hit at all?
Massive wind on Friday night knocked out power here in Ohio, and we had some trees twisting the top off a bottle of ketchup.
Wow.
And bricks. I had some chimney work. I had some extra bricks. Those were blown off the pile. So it was pretty serious, and I hope that the listeners that we have across the country are safe now, and hope life gets.
Well, I can tell you, I've got a friend of mine who moved from Gurnee to North Carolina, happened to be Asheville, a couple months ago, and he's in the middle of building his house. Well, his house got destroyed, and he sent out a email to not an email, a Facebook page showing the pictures of devastation, and all he could say is, "Pray for us." And then we have another family friend of ours who also happens to be in Asheville. He started a private school or charter school. I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. Ostensibly started out with one trailer and then expanded it to the point where he's got two campuses now. And the one campus, the one that started, was utterly destroyed, just completely wiped out. And it wasn't just one trailer; it was a bunch of, a lot of different buildings there that completely got wiped out. And some of the pictures that I saw, Sean, were just mind-numbing. And I hear, when I have my ear attached to the radio to hear whatever news feeds I can get during the day, there's still several million people that are without power and no cell service.
Yeah, that's true. And, where I was in Atlanta last Wednesday night, and a lot of the flights were being delayed coming into Atlanta. And, of course, they're expecting it any time to cause rains and flooding and storming. And a lot of the planes that were taking people to their destinations were coming out of Florida. And, of course, things were delayed, and you could just see the stress on people's faces as, flights were being delayed. But luckily I was able to get out on a flight that was delayed several hours, but, it was okay. But just thinking about all those people who normally wouldn't have been in harm's way, but had to connect through one of, the nation's major hubs, and they were stuck waiting for flights to get out. And then I had another friend who was leaving from Miami, which wasn't directly in the path, but he had to connect in Atlanta and head back to Kansas. And just the stress in people. And then you think about all of those people that live in those areas where, they're not coastal. They're in the middle of the country, and the wind and the rain and the weather was just unbelievable to see those pictures, and in North Carolina and South Carolina and all up the coast of just people who's thought, well, I'm not on the coast, I should be fine, and that hurricane just kept coming. So
yeah,
I hope everybody is safe.
Yeah, so we send out our prayers and our blessings to all those people in harm's way. I know there are several charities and several organizations that have dropped millions of dollars to try to help in some small way, to be able to lift these people up a little bit. I can't even imagine going from the 21st century in calendar year 2024 to ostensibly back to the Stone Ages overnight. They've got no heat, no electricity. They've got daylight, and then when it gets dark, it gets dark. And unless you've got a generator or something to at least power something up, if you've got still property to shelter under, it's terrible. And I heard today, and I don't know the moving parts. I'm just going to repeat what I heard on the news feed. Mayorkas, who's the Homeland Security board member or whatever, the director,
leader, director, I think it is.
So he said they've only passed out about $1.8 million in resources, $1.8 million. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Okay, we're getting billions of dollars overseas to God knows who for God knows what, and we can't come up with $1 billion to help our citizens who are taxpayers who are funding those things overseas. And I don't know all the moving parts, but it's not what you said, it's what I heard, kind of thing. And he's just like, what's going on? What's up with that? So I take a step back and go, okay, they know more about what's going on than I do. You hear the headline, you don't know the moving parts, and I have a saying that says the real truth is your truth, my truth, and somewhere in the middle is the real truth. Well, we heard the news feed from the media, but we don't know the other context of why the delays or what's up with that. And now that being said, Sean, and then it's compounded by the fact that the West Coast all the way down to Houston or Texas, all the longshoremen who move product from Europe or China over to the States, those guys are shut down. They're on strike. Mm-hmm. So I again, listening to talking heads that know more about this than me, the people on the radio were saying it'll take about a week or two, and if we go 2 weeks and those guys are still on strike, the whole country will have an effect on stuff that will be missing on the shelves. And you compound it with what's going on in North Carolina and parts of Georgia, and maybe Alabama. I don't know if Alabama got hit. I think Tennessee probably got hit, but North Carolina definitely, and Georgia took the main hit from this thing. You just kind of sit back and go, what's going on? What's up with this?
Yeah, I just looked at the FEMA website, and they were saying that they're now starting to mobilize, and they've put approximately 4,000 people are deployed down into counties in Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and they're starting to move men and material, more than 1 million liters of water, generators, tarps, meals, 2 million MREs, getting those down into the people that need it. And then when you see like the Red Cross is mobilizing and the states are mobilizing, it kind of reaffirms your faith in people that, when the news is bad, people do get together and
absolutely
respond.
And you wonder why it took so long, but okay, fine. It's water under the bridge. We'll deal with the aftermath after we get everybody back to normal, And then just a separate matter, but still related, I have another family member who lives in Tampa, a couple blocks away from the ocean. And she's been there for 20 years. Her house has never been touched until now. And she had feet of water in her house. and she's a couple blocks away from the ocean. It was kind of funny. The first thing she says, and I have no air conditioning. Like,
yeah.
Okay, but you live in a $2 million home, sweetie. But even with that, I don't know if a generator would help if you got 2 or 3 feet of water in your house. Their cars wouldn't start. And then she volunteered the fact that she had no insurance. Which, yeah. So it doesn't surprise me because it's one of those kind of things, it never happened, I don't have to worry about it, yada, yada, yada. Well, that's why you have insurance. So just in case the worst case happens, you got some coverage. And then, maybe FEMA will help, but if your house is worth $2 million and you have a few bucks in your pocket, the likelihood of you getting help is 0 and -0. So
yeah, it's flood insurance that they when you buy a house they do it. If you're in a floodplain, you're getting it, but if you're not, you take that risk, and then just freakish accidents happen. The way this storm came on, it didn't go into the Gulf and then hook a right turn and head towards the coast. It kind of just skimmed up through it, and
yep.
yeah, it's
so so hopefully by Thanksgiving maybe there'll be some sense of normalcy as long as the no more storms come through. But on the lighter side, Bears win, Green Bay loses. Yes. Sorry, Green Bay fans. Sorry, Slade's Corner, Wisconsin. Your host is a Bears fan, not a Green Bay Packer fan. So.
Well, the Bengals won, but, finally. So we're happy down here in Ohio. So the Browns lost, I think. But
yes.
That's a good thing if you're a Bengals fan.
Yeah, and the Bears only won because they have a defense and they don't have an offense. It's not complicated. So,
well, they got the hot draft pick again, so they ought to be pounding down the doors. So
from your lips to God's ear. Last thing we'll cover here is baseball playoffs started, but I don't know if you heard this or not, but yesterday Atlanta Braves and New York Mets had to play a doubleheader to decide who was going to get in the playoffs because it was Atlanta and the Braves and Arizona who were on the hot seat. If the Braves or the Mets had swept the doubleheader, Arizona gets in. If Atlanta wins one and the Braves win one, they both get in, and Arizona's odd man out. And that's what happened. But in the first game of that Atlanta Braves game, Atlanta was ahead 6. Let me see. The final score was 7-6, I think. Was it 7-6? I think. Yeah. Atlanta was ahead in the 8th inning, and the Mets scored 6 runs. They made it 6-4. Then Atlanta came back in the bottom of the inning and scored 4 runs and made it 8-6. And Atlanta then scored enough runs to win the ball game, or the New York Mets scored enough runs to win the ball game in the top of the 9th inning, and the New York Mets won that game. Had the Mets lost that game because the Braves won the second one, Arizona would be in the playoffs and not the Mets. So, interesting thing. And then the last thing I'm sure you heard, since you're in Ohio, Pete Rose passed away yesterday.
Yeah, that's a sad story here in Ohio because Pete Rose was, part of the Big Red Machine.
Yep.
Johnny Bench gave him a heck of a tribute today. And, just as a great baseball player. And, of course, his legacy now is marred by the fact that he, admitted gambling.
Yeah.
And couldn't make it into the Hall of Fame while he was still alive.
Yeah, and I don't know if you heard, but I heard today they found him. They found him dead on the floor at his house. That's how they found him.
Yeah, they said he had just gone to a signing event, and the day before, and then had returned home. So. Yeah,
it's our pastor like to say. Our pastor says, and I'm paraphrasing here. He says we're not guaranteed a permanent place on this earth. So. Yeah, it's a sad day for baseball for sure. I feel bad for Pete Rose because here's my attitude about the Hall of Fame and stuff. Yeah, gambling's a bad thing, and the whole reason why he got pinched was because of the Chicago White Sox back in the early 1900s when the Sox, basically bet against themselves to lose, or they made bets with people to
Shoeless Joe.
Yeah, they to purposely lose the World Series, and that's why gambling became a thing. But that he broke a rule that I shouldn't have done it. But you look at his statistics, and there's going to be a few records that nobody will ever break. I think one of them is the total hits. I think he's over 4,000 in total hits. Nobody will ever come close to that, I don't think, ever. So our hat tips to Pete Rose, and let's move on to your insurance corner, Sean. Your insurance corner. I was going to do a program tonight on annuities, but we're going to wait till next week because I need to do a couple more things before I bring that whole thing to the table, because there's a lot of moving parts, and I want to take my time walking through it so people don't get the heebie-jeebies when they hear annuity and run for the hills. I'll just say this as a teaser. If you have a pension plan, you have an annuity. It just happens to be with a corporation, not with an insurance carrier. But I can assure you that annuity that pension is insured somewhere. If the corporate officers are doing their job, it's insured somewhere so that you make sure you get your money. Social Security, in and of itself, is an annuity. You paid a boatload of money into the system, and you're going to get a fixed income for the rest of your life. So I'm just going to leave that as a teaser. So don't shy away from these kind of things. They're not meant for everybody, but they're going to be meant for a lot of people that want guaranteed income for life. And I, as I like to say, couldn't say it if it weren't true. So, what I want to do tonight, because open enrollment is coming up for Medicare Advantage plans and prescription programs. And you notice I didn't say Medicare supplement plans. We've covered this before, but I just want to make this clear. Medicare supplement plans, folks, there is no open enrollment except for your initial entitlement to Medicare and a Part C, if you will. I call the supplement or Medicare Advantage Part C, even though technically somebody evidently smarter than me has called Medicare Advantage Part C and a Medicare supplement Medigap. It just makes my eyes roll. It just makes my eyes water when idiots who don't know how to wipe their butt without help give names to things that don't mean anything to anybody. Sorry. So Medicare supplements don't have an open enrollment. You can switch Medicare supplements anytime you want. And with the exception of Blue Cross of Illinois and the state of Illinois, every Medicare supplement on the planet will require you to go through medical evidence of insurability after your first entitlement into a supplement plan. But with Medicare Advantage, you have an open enrollment every year. So we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage plans. And I took the occasion, Sean, to take about an hour or so to compare a 2024 plan with a 2025 plan. Now, part of the reason I did this is because the prescription programs that were created the prescription programs for 2025 are changing dramatically. Your out-of-pocket maximum is capped for prescriptions at $2,000. No matter the prescription program you buy, whether it's through a supplement or through an Advantage plan, it's capped at $2,000. So, as I like to say, the insurance carriers are not in the business of charity, so they have to figure out a way to make that work financially. So I wanted to see what we've been hearing versus what's real, because now we can look and see what's real. And honestly, not a lot of changes. So let's just get right into it. In 2024, you had 43 different options to look at, Sean. And this is, I just used a zip code in Illinois, and for my comparisons. Every state in the union has its own Medicare Advantage programs. Now, not every county in the country has Medicare Advantage available to them, but certainly they're pretty nationalized. There's a big position of a lot of these MA programs that are out there. But there's 43 choices on Medicare.gov. Now, Sean, if I were going to give you a homework assignment, and I would say go and find yourself a Medicare Advantage plan, and you look at 2024, and there's 43 different options. What's your first thought?
How do I determine between all the 43 options which one's the best one for me?
Right.
Would be my first.
Yep.
And then probably I'd start sorting and looking by, what's the cheapest one available, and then maybe get into, well, what does it cover? But probably about as far as I'd take it.
You're exactly right. What's the cheapest one? What if I told you every single premium in 2024 and 2025 was zero for the premium?
Well, as long as I get driven to my doctor's appointments by Joe Namath, awesome.
Yeah. So the big sizzle with Medicare Advantage, I'm telling you, is the fact that people don't have to pay a premium for Medicare Advantage. And theoretically, and not theoretically, practically speaking, they're told they get dental, they get vision, they get hearing tests. There's some other things. Let me just read certain options. This is from the 2025 list. I got to put my glasses on so I can see. So this is just vision, dental, hearing, transportation might be available for some plans, not everything. Fitness benefits like silver sneakers, worldwide emergency coverage, over-the-counter drugs, in-home support services, maybe, maybe not. Home and bathroom safety devices, maybe, maybe not. These are things that could be available to you. Meals on short duration, or meals on wheels, if you will. Annual physical exams, telehealth, endodontics, and periodontics. All right? These are the things that could be available to you, and there may be some others, but those are the plan features. Now, when you go into Medicare Advantage and you drop in your zip code, and then you drop in your prescriptions, and then you drop in what pharmacy I want to use, folks, I'm telling you, that's a big deal too. You have to pay attention to what pharmacy. Well, I want to use Walgreens. Well, that's great, but if you're using Aetna, you have to go to CVS. You're not in network if you went to Walgreens, but did you know that? Probably not, if you're trying to do your own homework. I'm going to also, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to digress here a second. Sean, what do I tell people when they're trying to do their own homework, or they're listening to their friends and neighbors? What's the counsel I give to them?
Talk to somebody who's in the business and knows what they're doing. Yeah,
exactly. Don't talk to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. This is complicated, folks, and I do this for a living. And my eyes started to water when I started looking at this. Now, full disclosure, right now, I don't sell Medicare Advantage plans. I'll help my clients look at them, but I can't sign them up. So the first thing people are going to look at is price. What's it cost me? We know that a Medicare supplement for a 65-year-old, let's say, is going to run roughly about $150 a month, plus or minus a couple dollars. And again, that's where I live. It's going to be more or less depending on where you live. So we're just going to use where I live right now in Illinois, and it's $150 a month. Nobody is going to escape your Part A and B costs. Now, generally speaking, 99% of us aren't going to have to pay anything for Part A. Part A, again, is hospital stuff and hospice care and a few other moving parts, but mostly hospitals. Part B is pretty much everything else. Doctors, surgeries, x-ray lab, MRIs, CAT scans, therapy, maybe chiropractic services, mental health services, telehealth, blah, blah, blah. That comes right now, today's dollars, with a $240 deductible, but the premium is what you cannot escape. It's going to be, today, it's $174.70. We think it's going to be $185 next year as of this radio show about let's just say as of yesterday, we still don't know what the premiums are going to be for Part B. And that's without the IRMA tax. And remember what the IRMA tax is, folks. If you made too much money over the last 2 years, it's a 2-year look back. If you made too much money, your premium is going to be Not 185 or 174. It's going to be significantly higher, $230, $300, $400, $500, or a little bit more. And that's indexed based on what you filed 2 years ago, not what you did last year. It's a 2-year look back. And that may not be fair. Don't kill the messenger. Whoever you're working with, whether it's me or somebody else, I'm just telling you what the rules are. I didn't make them up. If you got a problem, talk to your congressman. They will not have any. They will have only crocodile tears for you if you made $400,000 2 years ago. That it's like, well, what happened to that money? Blah blah. You know, they're not going to feel sorry for you. So Part A, Part B, you get those from Social Security. You look at a supplement, it's $150. Then you're comparing the supplement to the Medicare Advantage plan. Medicare Advantage, you're going to look, most of the plans that I saw, Sean, for 2024 and 2025 were zero premium. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people will go, wow, zero versus 150. And we see 150, that's $1,800 a year versus no premium? Sign me up. Now, if you just stop there, Sean, what's the train wreck that's going to happen? Hello? Did I lose you?
No,
Oh,
I
there
was
you go.
sneezing. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm thinking if it's 150 versus zero, I'd be inclined to go zero.
Right.
And save the money, but then I get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to use the plan, and I think that's when the sword of Damocles falls on me.
Yeah, yeah. So, I picked 3 plans for 2024 and 2025. The first one that popped up was the Humana Gold HMO plan. Same plan. 2024 out of pocket was $2,300. This was a surprise. The out of pocket for 2025, $2,150. It dropped $150. Same plan. Curious minds.
Am I going to a veterinarian?
Yeah, right. Curious minds want to know how's that working. Now, ask yourself a separate question, folks. I'm not here to poo-poo Medicare Advantage plans, but you got to go into this wide open with your eyes wide open. If they reduce the out-of-pocket, there's no deductible, there's no premium. How are they making money? How are they making money? And the answer is they're getting billions of dollars from the federal government to offload the Medicare cost to Humana or Aetna or Cigna or some other company in lieu of the federal government supporting Medicare. So now the insurance carrier is making the decisions on your health care, not Medicare. Medicare is not in play at all, period, full stop. Now, this is an HMO. HMOs, you have to pick a primary care doctor, which is fine. I mentioned that the out-of-pocket is $2,150. If I get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, I get a vision, a dental, a hearing, fitness, worldwide emergencies. Well, worldwide emergencies, let's define HMOs and worldwide emergencies. It better be a life-threatening emergency if you're going to be traveling overseas. Or better yet, if you're traveling overseas, don't even bother with your HMO plan. Get an international medical plan. Understand those international medical plans may very well have pre-existing conditions, so be aware of that. There's some other things here, Meals on Wheels, annual physicals, which, by the way, Medicare generally doesn't cover if you have a supplement, telehealth, and then you get into dental and vision. But they don't get specific, Sean. I'm going to get into that in a second, coming to the bottom of the hour here, so we got to take a break. I'll take a break now because we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what you see versus what you don't see in comparing these things. And one of the things that caught my attention, folks, and I want you to pay attention to me very closely, the second thing I did after I looked at the out-of-pocket and the cost of the insurance, I wanted to know if my doctor was in the network. And I'll tell you what happened when I did the search. So this is 101.5 FM, WLCB, Slade's Corner, Wisconsin. That is Sean Hauser, somewhere in the bunkers of Dayton, Ohio. I am Bill Miksch in Round Lake Heights, Illinois studios here, and we'll be right back at your Insurance Corner in a couple of seconds after these messages. Be right back.